Alright, so in this video we're going to discuss why we should study the subject of data structure and algorithms. So data structure and algorithms is one of the hardest subjects in programming in general or IT. So the subject is basically concerned with mathematical structure of data, how you can organize data in a certain way that optimize how a program works. Optimization here could be in terms of the time complexity, how much time the program runs, or in space complexities, I mean how much memories the programs occupies on the RAM, on the memory of the computer. So there was one of the first usage or application of data structure and algorithm is that it is used to construct library. So library constructions is heavily based on data structure and algorithms. For example, in C or C++, when you activate the unordered map library, in the backend, the program actually run a hash table data structure. Whereas if you use the set library, a red black tree or an ABL tree is being implemented behind the scene. In this case, in my experience, most of the time they're gonna use red black tree. Another case is the vector function, the vector library. So when the vector library is being called, a dynamic array data structure is being in use. In this slide, we can see that each time when we invoke the vector, the include vector library, then a dynamic array is being used in the backend, where when we use include set, a red black tree data structure is being implemented to give you the set functionality. The second reason why we have to study data structure and algorithm is that it's an essential part of preparing for software engineering interview tests. Software engineering interview test is 90% DSA, and a lot of time you're gonna meet problems regarding data structure like linked list or graph algorithm. Another type of problem that is very often occurs in those exams is dynamic programming, whether it's a knapsack dynamic programming problem when you have to optimize the amount of cache that you get from a certain carriage, or you have to find the shortest path between two nodes via the uh, graph algorithm of Dijkstra algorithms. The third reason that people study for data structure and algorithm is either for their mentality training or for competitive programming like exam or contest. So there are a couple of famous international programming contests, the content of which are primarily data structure and algorithms like the IOI, International Olympiad in Informatics, or ICPC, International Collegiate Programming Contest. Google Code Jam used to be a very famous competitive programming contest organized by Google, and recently there's the MIT Square, which is a competitive programming contest hosted by MIT. All of these programming contests, most of the time, want to test the contestant ability to use data structure and algorithms to solve some problems and optimize their code. So the fourth and maybe the one of the last reason that I know why people study this subject of data structure and algorithm is that it's very practical subject and it can serve practical purposes. So because when you learn this subject of data structure and algorithms, you have to constantly think about different strategies in implementing implementing a solution or solving problems. So strategic planning is certainly um, getting implemented into your brain. So that's gonna help your critical thinking a lot. Also, when I was doing reverse engineering, um, the stack section of memory and the heap section of memory is constantly being invoked. So, so in that sense, knowing how the stack data structure and the heap data structure works can be beneficial for our reverse engineering job. Finally, in data structure and algorithms, we're gonna do the big O analysis, big O notation analysis, and that is very similar to cost analysis in real life or economic management. So basically, you're gonna have to consider how much resources um, being required to implement a certain task or missions. So the idea of cost analysis is a very practical idea that we can learn from the subject of data structure and algorithms via the big O notations. So I think that is enough for the first video about data structure and algorithm on this channel. We're gonna have a long journey together, and I think we're gonna post a lot of video on data structure and algorithms. So I think this is the end of the first introduction video. So thank you very much. Have a good day.